Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and start over and get right into it again. I'm gonna slow down here because I'm trying to cover so much and get it in and as fast as I can because of what I have to say. It takes quite a bit of time, and I'm trying to stay consistent and in my content and direction. But anyway, yeah. So once again, I'm going to get into the thing about the NAFTA, North American Free Trade. And most people normally don't see that at a daily standard method of banking. I mean, really at all. I know I didn't, but now I do. But it seems like getting above the bank itself, and seeing something about the current resident and information that's available when it's actually in the mailbox. Yeah, it seems to be. It's really had a considerable bit amount more of a significance than really I didn't even anticipate really. But in any case, yeah. So I was kind of looking at that current resident and a little bit about Calamity Jane in that way, and what it is to the horseshoe, or the shape of a horseshoe, and like the ohms thing, or the ohmish artesian calmness, and a little bit of humor about that. So anyway, yeah. So and all that Delta Force stuff about the triangle, and it's kind of like it gets to in my mind, with the Free Trade Act, or the ERISA statute, and how it just seems to be whether or not if the acronym of the early retirement, I said that as like an investment security annuity, not necessarily maybe through default by ignorance or neglect based on lack of experience of the acronym, what is only given normally that might be identified as almost a savings, um, you know that and it seems to be whether or not if an ERISA, early retirement individual supplemental or security annuity would even really be distinguishable from a trust fund, or if its placement is given designated information that would lead anywhere other than a bank, uh, or maybe not even see that as a potential, or even recognize, or even like have interest to like find out what it's about, or even have a need for it, or something other than a bank. Um, just seems to be the deal. And in North American Free Trade Act, I mean, it's kind of like if it's going to ultimately decide whether or not if a transaction in a bank is going to decide whether if a direct deposit is only a proper English numerical composition, or why one pronoun cannot be used as a subject. I mean, it ultimately gets to whether or not if participation is going to be accepted as anything more than knowing or not knowing, or going and being able to participate as a constant, as a method of like just the putting considerable amount way beyond attention in the way of banking, or investments in that way, and spend considerable amount of time what other people might choose for themselves as the practice makes perfect thing, if it's going to be academics beyond in the same direction, or even sports in another direction. I mean, all that's available as information, and whether it be tech, or sports, or whatever the case may be, or entertainment in a way of like audio production, or musicians in that way, or whatever the case may be, or theatrical type of participation. The thing with this is that the ERISA statute and something about the North American Free Trade Act, I mean, normally isn't normally the normal perception of any information that would even suggest any connectivity of something that might lead to anything other than a bank, or what it is as compared to an endorsed check, or a direct deposit, or any interacting retroactive combination that would identify what placement is before, during, and after what circuit is, or what it needs to mean. The thing with this is that really ultimately, in my mind, it just seems to be whether or not if um, in my mind, the summit meetings involving in my mind, it seems to be of significance of the separation between church and state. Now, color codes of the United States codes annotated in a way the same of the New Testament. And the separation between church and state seems to be so color-coded that way of the United States codes annotated and the New Testament, and what the African Americans, the Lord Jesus Christ really is to the African Americans, and what the 200-year celebration of America really seems to be. Ultimately, even getting to the thing about in my mind of what Benjamin Franklin is the 100 Club, or the 100 Club and the Code Blue thing, in the way of the African Americans of the Houston area, ultimately getting in my mind. A big deal about the 36 and 64 equating to 100 years and what a centennial is, even with the power squared factor of a centennial being a 100. Added twice, being into the 200, the 200-year celebration. Once again, I've been covering the same information, and I'm probably going to have to collect and maybe think about it before I start talking about it, and obviously it's going to probably result in that again. And I'll probably go ahead and take a break and just kind of, maybe it's already late anyway. It's already it's already midnight. Anyway, so I think I'm going to take a break and think about it again, because I'm not really thrilled about, my direction and focus and direction. So I'm going to take a break, okay?